It's a pleasure to be here speaking to you. My name is Navneet. I am one of the product experts here at Zoho Finance. So, I will be one of the speakers who will be taking you through this Zoho Finance Masterclass that we have designed for our customers and new users. So, Zoho Finance Suite, we have a bunch of different products that caters to the financial needs of a business, right from our accounting software, that's Zoho Books, up to a dedicated invoicing software. And as you can see on the screen, we have Soho Expense, Inventory, subscriptions, and finally the latest addition to our suite, which is Soho Checkout, which came last year. So for this particular part of the course, we'll be focusing exclusively on Soho Books, which is our dedicated accounting software. On the slide here, you can see an overview of Soho Books. It is an online accounting software that takes care of all the payables, receivables, the stocks of the items that you're transacting, if you have any, your bank accounts. If you want to link your bank account to your Soho Books account, you can do that as well. And finally, we have a powerful set of reports. Soho Books, we have about 50 plus powerful and insightful reports that you can generate at any time in any format that you prefer. So for this Soho Finance Masterclass, this is the course structure that we have come up with. We are starting off with setup and opening balances, and one by one we'll be covering all the modules that we have. And as you can see on the screen here, we'll be focusing on every different thing within Soho Books. It is a really deep product with different modules. And for people who are not able to attend the first two, we had already covered these topics. So for today's webinar, this is my topic. I'll be focusing on users, roles, and accountants within Zoho Books. So, so yeah, this is what I've called it today. We'll be learning about working remotely with your users and accountants within Zoho Books. So, with that, I'm going to jump into the agenda for today. I'll start off with an overview of what multi user accounting really means. And then I'll talk about the users and roles module within Zoho Books, what exactly it does, how it looks like, and what are the different functionalities that you can access once you start using this. And finally, I'll talk about collaborating with your accountant by making use of this particular feature in Zoho Books. So with that, we'll start. So what exactly is multi-user accounting? The name itself is pretty self-explanatory, but I'm going to start off this section of our webinar with a particular use case. Let's take the example of a typical small or medium business or a startup, if I may, which has an organizational hierarchy that looks like this. You have your CEO who with everyone else reporting to him, obviously. And this is a small startup that we are looking at, not a lot of employees. So the CEO has a dedicated accountant or accounting personnel reporting directly to him. Other than that, there's a salesperson looking after all the sales activities. Then you have your accounts payable section, which takes care of all the bills and all the payables, the bills that needs to be paid off to their vendors. And finally the other stuff like marketing, or if there's any other analyst or business development person involved, that comes under other stuff. So in this particular hierarchy, if they're using an accounting software, then how does it look like in this new scenario? So you have your CEO who has unrestricted access to all the data within the accounting software that's being used, because obviously he's the CEO, and it's completely unrestricted. And the CEO has the ability to add new users to this particular organization or accounting software that he's using, or if he wants to create a custom role for a new designation that he has hired, he can do that as well. Other than that, if he wants to create some custom role or field, he can do that as well. Next up, you have this. You have the accountant for this particular organization that we looked at. So this would be the tasks that come for the accountant. The accountant has to take care of all the tax filing part of this particular business. If there are any manual journals or journal entries that they have to make, it's the job of the accountant. Or if there are any currency adjustments that they have to make, if this organization is transacting is making any cross-border transactions. So there's a lot of currency adjustments that needs to be made. So all this comes under the job description of the accountant. And finally, you have chart of accounts, all the different list of ledgers and chart of accounts that needs to be managed by this particular accountant guy. So whatever accounting software that this particular organization uses, this is the particular section that would fall under the description of the accountant. And then you have your accounts payable team. Like I said earlier, they are in charge of making all the bill payments. They should have access to the list of vendors or suppliers that this business has. They should have the ability to view and make those particular bill payments. And yeah, so obviously they should have access to the purchases section. So what I'm trying to say here is that depending upon the designation and type of work that each person does within that organization, their role within the accounting software is focused on one specific part of it. So that lies at the core of multi-user accounting that we are looking at today. So so accounting has undergone a drastic change from what it was previously over the last 2 decades, and cloud computing has had a major role to play in it. So what was once a very niche and specialized job where you have your specialist with a desktop computer sitting down and handling all the data has radically changed to what you're looking at now. That desk is completely virtual because you might have people working literally from different locations but handling the same data. So that is at the crux of multi-user accounting. So multiple user access and collaboration, this is how it looks like. You have custom access for multiple employees within your organization. It's completely location independent. The CEO might be traveling on a business trip, while your accountant might be somewhere in a different state altogether, and the sales guy is on the field handling all the sales work, but they're all coming back and collaborating in a single software. That's at the crux of it. So that's the collaboration part that I talked about. You can collaborate with your employees and accountants simultaneously. And finally, you can access it from anywhere, regardless if you're traveling or if you're in a board meeting or if you're in a cubicle. So it doesn't matter at all because this new form of accounting is completely mobile. And yeah, as long as you have an internet connection or a smartphone or tablet, it doesn't matter. You can access it from anywhere. So so that was my introduction about multi-user accounting and how it has radically changed how accounting has been done over the last couple of decades. So with that, I'm going to jump into the users and roles module within Zoho Books and talk about how it looks like. So once you are within the users and roles section of Zoho Books, here on the right you can see the list of users that I've already created within my organization. So if I'm the admin here, I have the option of adding or deleting any particular user. If I want to make one particular user as inactive, I can do that as the admin. Other than that, if I want to add some custom fields, I've decided that I would like to collect the phone number of the users that I create. I can always collect that. So yeah, these are the predefined roles that's there in Zoho Books by default. You can see it on the screen here. So the admin will have unrestricted access to all modules. So I'm just trying to relate this to the example that I gave earlier. So that would be the CEO who has access to everything. And then there's the accountant. That's a specific role that I've created specifically for my accountant. So that's not a default role. That's something that I created. Other than that, if you have any staff who has access to all modules except reports, settings, and accountant module. And yeah, and then you have staff who is assigned for a specific set of customers. So this is something that we'll be covering later on also. We have this very neat little feature where you can create a specific role and assign it to only a specific set of customers. So how exactly does this work? Let's say I have this field sales guy who goes out to different areas and does all the sales activities for me. If there's a bunch of customers that this guy has brought in, and if I want this particular person to access only that set of customers and not be able to view the rest, I can easily do that within Zoho Books, which I'll be showing shortly. Other than that, we have custom roles. So the accountant section that I showed earlier was a custom role that I created. Here you can see on the screen here. I've created a new custom role called business analyst, who has access to only my reports and contacts section. And finally, the restricting access part, the example that I gave earlier. So with this little checkbox here, it's really powerful. You can allow users to handle the data and transactions only for a specific assigned set of customers. So yeah, I'm gonna jump in a bit more deeper and look into these roles that we already talked about. So admin is gonna have unrestricted access to all the modules within Zoho Books, and admin has the power to create new roles. And if the admin wants to invite any new users to this organization or edit the powers of an existing user, the admin can do that. The accountant, it's not there by default. It's usually something that's created by our Zoho Books users, because let's face it, every business needs an accountant. But what we've learned is that when you look at this role across organizations, the type of work that they do greatly varies. In some organization, the accountant role itself is sometimes outsourced to an outsider, or sometimes it's in-house. So what we did was to give this particular option to our customers, so that we didn't come up with that default role. The customer has the option of creating a specific accountant role and associating the specific modules that the accountant should have access to. So that's the accountant role within Zoho Books. Other than that, you have yeah, that's a generic name there for staff who has access to all the modules except report settings and accountant. This could be anyone. This could be a marketing analyst or your sales guy, or if there's a CRM expert that you have, it could come under staff. And like I said in the beginning, the point of all this is that we have made it really flexible, so that you as an admin, you provide access to the modules that they should have access to. It's as simple as that. And finally, you have something called timesheet staff. So timesheet is this powerful little feature that we have within Zoho Books. If you have a time-based project running, then you can easily record it as a different time-based project within Zoho Books. So you probably will have all these employees and staff who's working on this particular project, and you can give them specific access so that these employees can log into Zoho Books and record the time that's being spent, or the work hours that's being spent on that particular project, and they wouldn't have access to anything else. So yeah, access only to timesheets. So that's something that we'll be covering again. Advanced features within users and roles. So this is the list of advanced features that I really wanna look at it in detail. So you have the option of approve transactions. So this is a new role that I'm creating for my sales or purchases section, and if I want to give them the option of approving transactions, I can do that by just clicking on this little checkbox here. So what this means is that this new role that I'm creating, this particular user will have the ability to approve transactions, whether it be a bill or a PO or whatever other transaction that's being created, and that's being decided by me. The next two options, timesheet, is something that I already just explained. So how is this crucial in an actual use case or work scenario? It helps immensely when it comes to your project management, because you have all these employees that's logging into your accounting software to record the time, or the number of work hours that's being spent on a particular project. It saves a lot of headache on your part, because the accounting software takes care of all the hard details, because they can, all you have to do is give them access as a timesheet staff. They'll log into Zoho Books, fill in the specific project hours or task hours that they have logged, and you're good to do your business. It's as simple as that. There's nothing else that you have to worry about, and your project management is handled really easily that way. So apart from this, further custom roles that you want to create, this is an example that I gave earlier. You can easily do that within this particular feature. So with that, I'm going to jump into the third and final section of this particular webinar, that is the accountant module within Zoho Books. So every business needs an accountant at the end of the day, and they play a huge part in your tax filing and chart of accounts and other needs. So what we've done is that we have created a really efficient way to provide access to your accountant and to collaborate very easily with your the accountant of your particular organization. So the accountant module within Zoho Books, this is how it looks like. So I'm just going to give a brief introduction here. You have your chart of accounts with the list of ledgers or accounts that's there by default. If you want to create a new account, you can always do that easily within Zoho Books. Then within these chart of accounts, you have different sub accounts if you want to create. This is a really powerful feature that we have here, and something that has repeatedly come up with our users about how much this has proved to be useful over the years. If you want to create sub accounts within our default list of accounts, you can always do that. After that, if you want to create some adjustments or manual entries between your different chart of accounts, you can always do that by making use of our manual journals feature. If you're doing cross-border transactions frequently, and if you want to make some default currency adjustments, you can always do that. So there's the currency adjustment option within the accountant module in Zoho Books. So after that, obviously, the main feature, that's the tax payments and adjustment section. So what you have on the screen here is a bunch of tax reports that my accountant has access to. So at the time of filing my returns, this is going to come in really crucial. And finally, transaction locking. So like I said, it's multi-user, and sometimes there might be a bit of overlap where maybe by mistake my sales guy might make a change to an existing transaction that I've done, and it's at the end of the fiscal year, and I'm going to file my returns, and I don't want anyone to make any changes to my data. So you can always lock the transactions within Zoho Books. So that's this neat little feature called transaction locking, where you can specify the date, the reason, and just save it. So that's the final feature that we have within accountant module. So like I said in the beginning, we have a bunch of powerful reports within Zoho Books. So we have about 50 plus analytical reports which can be generated in any way that you prefer. If you want to customize it, if you want to generate it for a particular fiscal year, or just for the previous month or the week, you can always do that. So accountant report, within reports, we have a separate section for accountants. Account transactions can be generated really easily, as you can see on the screen, with all the important data from your date, your accountant, transaction details, and other important information. Other than that, the trial balance information, it can be easily generated within Zoho Books. So the important part here is that all this can be done in less than 3 clicks from the main dashboard in Zoho Books. It's really that's easy or simple. Less than 3 clicks, or less than a minute, because things are that easy to do within Zoho Books. And finally, you have your journal report, where there is a neat breakdown of all the different journals that you have with the dates that you specify, and the debit and the credit amount. So with that, I'm gonna jump into the product and give you a first-hand taste of how this users and roles feature looks like. So this is a list of users that I've already created within my organization with the specific roles. You can see the roles that's been assigned. So admin is something that cannot be modified, but if I want to edit or delete any other role, I can always do that by making use of these options here. Other than that, if I want to invite a new user to this organization, I can always do that by clicking on this button here. And all I have to do is just fill out this, and it's really simple. I'll show you the list of default roles that we have within Zoho Books. So accountant is a role that I created. It's a custom role. Other than that, you have your admin with unrestricted access, the staff personnel, the timesheet staff with access to timesheets. So the default roles cannot be edited or deleted. But if I want to clone this and create a new role, I can easily do that and modify this. Other than that, if I want to create a new role, I can always do that here by specifying the role name, the description here, and I can associate the specific modules that this particular role should have access to. So here you can see the permissions, the further permissions. If I want to give, I can always do that here. That's my sales section. That's my purchases section. So that's how you create a new role. And finally, we have something called custom fields. So when I'm creating a new role, if I feel that I need some other information from my the new user that I'm adding, like the phone number or the email address or any other auto-generated number or something, I can always ask for that. I can create that custom field here. So as you can see on the screen here, I've already created a custom role for my accountant, Silka accountant, that you can see on the screen here. So now I'm going to show you how I'm going to invite a particular user to my organization. That's my accountant. I'm going to click on invite user here and specify the email address. I'm gonna set this role as accountant, and all I have to do is click on send. So what this does is my accountant is gonna receive an email from me inviting him to this particular organization, and once he clicks that, this is how his Zoho Books organization or account is gonna look like. So I've decided that he's gonna have access only to my account module, and so within the accountant module, he's gonna have access to my chart of accounts and currency adjustments, and all the other stuff that we talked about. So you can see it for yourself here. That's the only thing that's there. And if you want, if he wants to create a new account or modify anything, that can be done within this particular section. So with that, I come to the end of this particular webinar. Just to summarize what we've been talking about today, there's this new form of accounting which is completely multi-user. It's based on the specific role of the particular employee in your organization, and it's completely location independent. It's highly customized. Everything about this is customized to a very minute level. The user roles that's assigned are very specific to whatever designation that they have within your organization. And finally, we saw what the accountant role can do. It's a custom role that's being created in Zoho Books, but you have the option of deciding what exactly your accountant has access to and what they can do within their Zoho Books account. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this webinar, and you can tune in for our next chapter. If you have any questions, you can always shoot us a mail at support@zohobooks.com. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Bye bye.